January 5th, 1969 was the first time that Yogi Bhajan spoke in public in the United States of America. And that was when he announced that it was everybody's birthright to be healthy, happy, and holy. And that's when 3HO officially was born. We were not incorporated until July of that year. But I had met him previously. I met him in September of 68 at the East-West Cultural Center, where he had gone to meet Dr. Judith Tyberg, who invited all kinds of swamis and yogis, and any spiritual person who came to town went there, and she'd have them lecture on a Sunday. And when I met him, he was in the kitchen cooking soup, and he was a very, very good cook. And she introduced me, and I thought, who is this guy? Because my first reaction was, I don't know. I'm not sure I trust him. I had been fooled by a pseudo-spiritual teacher prior to meeting Yogi Bhajan, and I'd lost a home and spent a lot of money. But as I got to know Yogi Bhajan, I noticed that he had the most beautiful brown eyes with so much kindness in them. And so little by little, I started to trust him. It took a while. And he told me that, he said, you've been betrayed. He said, I'll make it up to you. And he certainly did. It was the best press agent that anybody could ever want. He said, you are going to be the mother of 3HO. I said, oh, no, I've already had my son. I don't want to be anybody's mother. I argued with him about everything. But of course, he was always right. I think partially I was sort of like a test case, that if he could do anything with me, anything was possible with these crazy Americans. It was the era, well, let's face it, the hippies, the flower children, and practically everybody who came to class, and everybody that we met, except Yogi Bhajan, and for me, everybody else had taken drugs. And he said, you can get just as high, if not higher, on Kundalini Yoga, and it's legal and there are no bad side effects. And it's very transformational, because the kids who had been taking the drugs were doing it not just to party, they were trying to alter consciousness. It was an era of a change in consciousness. But the way they were doing it, of course, was destroying their brains, and with alcohol, of course, wrecking their livers. And so he taught in such a way, he never said to anyone, don't do this or don't do that. He'd say, if you do this, this is what will happen. If you do that, that will happen. And he would give people a choice. And the thing that he had that was unique, and still is unique on the planet, was total acceptance and love, a divine love of everyone. It's an impersonal sort of thing that sees the soul in you and nourishes that and gives it every opportunity to grow and to glow so that each person's potential can be realized. He said, you have a right to be healthy, happy, and holy, and Kundalini Yoga is the method. This is the technology to use. And so we started, and he said, I have not come to get disciples. He says, I'm not going to initiate anyone. In Kundalini Yoga, you initiate yourself. And he almost, I'm not sure if he said exactly, but if you're too stupid to do it, then you don't belong here. But he said he had come to train teachers. And so I was probably the first teacher that he trained here in the United States. And I remember the way I started teaching. He was teaching at Yoga West, and started in and got a little way into it, and then he looked at me and said, "Okay, now you teach the class," and he walked out of the room. And I was terrified. I thought, well, I better do Ong Namo, Gurudev Namo. And then I remember at the end, I couldn't remember the melody for the Long Time Sunshine song. By the way, that song was a gift to him from, I forget the name of the group that originated it, but that's how we started using it at the end of all of the yoga classes. So I was very privileged. I had no idea who he was, that a living master, a person who had actually experienced his own infinity and his oneness with everyone. He taught us to say Sat Nam. He gave us the catchphrase so that when we meet anyone or when we answer the phone, I've even got it on my answering machine, the first thing we do is we establish that unity, that truth is your identity and truth is my identity. So we are already one in the spirit. And we used to sing a lot. And then, of course, the men started to tie turbans because they wanted to look like Yogi Bhajan. Guru Singh, I think, was the first one who tied a turban. And then I forget whether it was when they came back from India. I didn't go to India with him. He took a group with him. And when I went, there were just, I think, a dozen of us. But since the men were given turbans at the Golden Temple, or the Akal Takht, I forget which, one of the women said, well, what about us? And so they came back wearing turbans. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then we were actually at my apartment, Yogi Bhajan and his wife and a few of the students, and he was talking to his wife and saying, well, if you really wanted to support me, you would wear a turban. We were somewhere. So I excused myself and I went down to my apartment. Where were we? I forget. When you get to be my age, you forget things conveniently. It's a good excuse. You use age, you can cop out on anything. So I went down and I took some chunis that I had, because usually I would throw a chuni over my head. And I tied a turban and I came back and there I was with my first turban. And he thought that was really funny, and he tied a turban around it. And I had left a piece of material hanging down. And everybody said, no. He said, no, that's how the Nihang Singhs wear it. So anyway, I have many, many, many memories. Everything that he said would happen, happened. He never wanted to be known as a prophet, but he was. And he said, the time will come when people in the world are going to be going crazy. And we have certainly seen that in recent days. And then he said, people will be knocking at your doors wanting to learn Kundalini Yoga, and it's going to spread all over the world. And this was when I was so proud. I remember I kept a little map, and we had 8 centers in different cities. Started out here, then New Mexico, Washington, D.C. But everything that he said has come to be. So he based his behavior in his life on the lives of the gurus. He told us Guru Nanak, for instance, Nanak's name means no, no. He never said no to anything. Whatever came his way, he accepted it. He accepted everyone. He gave us the reasons for letting our hair grow long. The flower children were already doing it, but they didn't know why. And he would give us the scientific reasons for doing things. So I don't know what else to say except that I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity that I did, that I probably didn't appreciate enough while I had it, but to spend time with a liberated master. He wasn't the master of any of us. He was the master of himself and the master of anything he tried. He was a great cook. I'm sure he could sew if he wanted to. And he didn't sing quite the way I would have liked, but he appreciated music, and he encouraged everyone, no matter what field they were in. And he told all the young people to go back to school. He valued scholastic achievement. Well, one of the things he said was that he had never really read a book or studied. He'd put a book under his pillow at night. He'd wake up in the morning. He'd know what was in it. So anyway, thank you for this opportunity to speak with you on this occasion of the anniversary of 3HO. As he said, he wasn't interested in having an organization, but rather to create a healthy, happy, holy family of people who would not live just with each other, and certainly not at each other, but for each other. And I have seen the amazing kindness and generosity and the true spirit that still lives on even to this day. Thank you for your time and your attention. Sat Nam.